The topic for this FRQ is modeling rates of change, specifically related rates, and this question will be from the AP Calc AB exam in 2003, free response question 5 on the main exam. By Thomas Tran and Casey Cruz. This is the full problem with all the 3 parts listed out fully. You can refer to this for the next 3 parts where I will cover each A, B, and C on separate slides after this. And also you can look at the display and read the full problem and then pause this maybe before you go on to the next part. Part A asks us to prove that dH over dt equals negative square root h, or negative square root of height, over 5 equals dH over dt. Okay, so first you want to use the volume formula given to you in the problem. Volume of a cylinder equals pi r squared h. Then you want to plug in 5 for r, as you can see right there, or given in the diagram. The radius is 5 inches. So volume equals 25 pi h. So then the derivative of that equals 25 pi dH over dt. But in the problem it says the volume V of coffee in the pot is changing at the rate of negative 5 pi square root h cubic inches per second. So you can plug in negative 5 pi square root h for dV over dt, or the rate of change of volume. Then you just divide by 25 pi to find dH over dt. Negative square root h over 5 equals dH over dt. And that's how you prove it. Remember to plug in all the numbers given to you in the right spots. Remember, radius is 5. Don't plug that into height. Plug it in for r. And also remember that it gives you dV over dt in order to solve for dH over dt. So you also have that value and plug it into dV over dt. Okay, the second part, or part B, is asking, given that h equals 17 at time t equals 0, solve the differential equation dH over dt equals negative square root h over 5 for h as a function of t. So first you're going to have to do implicit differentiation. Make sure to get the square root h on the dH side in order to integrate. And then keep the negative on the right side, negative 1/5 dt. And then you want to integrate both sides. This is h to the negative 1/2, so the integral of that is 2h to the 1/2. Remember the 2 in front in order to make sure that the 1/2 is balanced out when you derive. Equals, and then the integral of negative 1/5 dt is just negative 1/5 t. And remember to put the c on that side because it's a function in terms of t, so you want to have the c on that side. And then it gives you the initial condition, h equals 17 at time t equals 0. So you want to plug both those values in order to find the c. Since time equals 0, the negative 1/5 times 0 just cancel out. So c equals 2 square root 17. But you're not done yet. You have to plug it into the original equation, which is that. You need to plug in all the values, or plug in the c value, just the c value. Divide both sides by 2. equals negative 1/10 t plus square root 17. And then you have to square both sides. So then h equals negative 1/10 t plus square root 17 squared. Remember, the whole thing is squared. Negative 1/10 t plus 17, square root of 17, all squared, because you want to balance out the square root of h to get h isolated. So the variable h equals, where the arrow is pointing, negative 1/10 t plus square root 17 squared. Remember to square the whole thing. Remember that you have to have the negative 1/5 on the dt side, otherwise you will get a different answer for your c and thus get a different equation. And also, you want to make sure you put the 2 there in order to balance out the h to the 1/2 for integrating. And that's it. Okay, for part C it says, at what time t is the coffee pot empty? So you want to use the equation you got as the answer to part B, which is h equals negative 1/10 t plus square root 17 squared. You want to plug in 0 for h, because when the coffee pot is empty, the height will be 0, or the height of the liquid, or the coffee, because there's none in there. And then you just want to solve for what value of t makes that the right side equal to 0. So then you want to square both sides. Negative 1/10 t plus square root 17 equals 0. Negative 1/10 t equals negative square root 17 times by the reciprocal on both sides. T equals negative square root 17 times negative 10, or 10 square root 17, because the negatives cancel out. Remember to watch out for all the negative signs. Remember that time can't be negative, so you have to get a positive value as your time. And also remember to use the original equation, not dh over dt, because you're not using the rate of height when the rate of height equals 0. You're using when the height equals 0.